Шановні колеги, ми продовжуємо.
Dear colleagues, we continue our working day, and I invite to the microphone Colonel Andriy Lysenko, official spokesperson of the Ministry of Defense. Good afternoon, dear colleagues. Please listen to the latest events from the ATO area during the last 24 hours. Near Lugansk. As earlier, the occupants systemically keep shelling potential region for disengagement of means and forces in Stanitsa Luganska. Besides small arms, they use the armored vehicles. Ukrainian troops had to open fire in response. Also, the occupants became more active in other regions to the east from Stanitsa Luganska near Krymska, Orikhovo, Zolote. And here again, the militants used mortars. Between 5 and 8 p.m. yesterday, the series of shellings were held in Popasnyansky region. Besides the mortars, they used the artillery and guns. Near Luhansk, in general, there were 16 shellings and 7 from heavy weaponry out of them. Also, it was a very unquiet situation, and the reason was, as our reconnaissance reports, that the occupants were entertaining a high commission which arrived from the Ministry of Defense and General Staff of the Russian forces from Moscow. Near Donetsk, the combat activities continue almost in all the hotspots. First of all, this is in the Avdiivska industrial area, where the armored machinery is used, and also one tank. There were 5 hours of shellings here. Besides then, near Troitsk, Zaitsevo, Pisky, the occupants actively used mortars and launched more than 40 mines to our positions. In general, near Donetsk, there were 6 enemy shellings, and 2/3 of them from heavy weaponry. Near Mariupol, yesterday was marked with sharp decrease and strengthening of density of the enemy shellings from heavy weaponry. During last day, the enemies actively used mortars and guns of different calibers, and also a tank. As traditionally in Mariinsky district and near Pavlopil and between Pavlopil and Shirokina, there were many. The most unquiet situation. There were more than 120 shells launched to our positions. Near Mariupol, there were in general 18 shellings, out of them 14 from heavy weaponry. During the last 24 hours, fortunately, we had no losses, but one serviceman was wounded near Avdiivka. Also, the losses of the enemies were as follows. One occupant was killed, 2 were wounded, and 1 armored vehicle was eliminated. Also yesterday, 2 occupants from so-called 2nd Battalion of 9th Regiment from Russian occupational troops, being drunk, had stolen the civil car and tried to cross the checkpoint. The militants from the checkpoint opened fire in response, and one drunk occupant soldier was killed. The other was movement. From Russia, another supplies, more supplies had arrived to Sverdlovsk. Thus, there were 5 tanks, 7 HAL installations, and 2 the staff carrier vehicles. To Yasin, what Data station, 18 cisterns with oils and fuels had arrived. Also, the SBU had discovered the anti-tank MRLS system near Novozvanivka in Luhansk Oblast, and the marking of the labeling of this installation had shown that it did not belong to the military forces of Ukraine. So probably these were enemies. Near Volnovakha, one more militant was detained when he tried to cross the contact line. Also, the National Guard's officers near Mariupol had stopped a car coming from the occupied territory and discovered that a passenger was a high-rank official from occupational administration and a member of the DPR band formation. In Stanitsa Luhanska, the police patrol had stopped a man who deserted from Ukrainian armed forces in 2014. He was moving from Lugansk to Ukrainian territory, Ukrainian controlled territory. And near Berezova checkpoint, our bodyguards had neutralized the anti-infantry mine MON 200. The question now, you mentioned that supplies and additional forces had arrived from Russia. Or how do you think, what was the reason? The reason is only one. Russia wishes to continue aggression against Ukraine. But what was the specific reason? They continuously and regularly supply oils, fuels, machinery, equipment, and people to the eastern Ukraine. So it's not a surprise. Thank you very much, dear colleagues. The next